the situation in Hong Kong now can be summarized in one word: retaliation. The revenge of the Communist Party against the people of Hong Kong. And this retaliation is not just for 2019, it's also for the 2014 umbrella movement. So ever since Xi Jinping come to power, he really see Hong Kong as a challenge to the Communist Party ideology, and he want to tame the people of Hong Kong by taking what they call full control over Hong Kong. So he had announced that in 2014. And then the umbrella movement, of course, prompted him more to be angry with Hong Kong. And so this is really a retaliation and a clash of two different values, authoritarian, totalitarian values, and the values for freedom, democracy, and justice. So the crash of the two values, happened over the last year. And so over the last year, I think I don't want to go through details about the protest movement. And I want to go straight into the national security law and the retaliation, as I have said. So when you look at what happened during this COVID-19 period, when they are using this COVID-19 to suppress the people movement in Hong Kong, what they have done, before I go into national security law, was that they have now arrested already 10,000 people and prosecuted 1,600. And every day, when you turn on the news, is about arrest and about prosecution. So what they are now doing, without the national security law yet, they have already tried to use the law in Hong Kong, which is quite colonial in some of them, like the public order ordinance dated back to the colonial time, when they are charging people with riots. 600 young people and protesters have been charged with riots. And I personally now have 7 charges over 4 incidents of leading what they call inciting people to go on for unauthorized assembly. And of course, they ban all assembly. And so we come out and they said that we are leading, organizing, and inciting people to come out. So they are doing all this of using the law already in Hong Kong to retaliate. But for them, the beating up of protesters, the tear gassing, the torture, the prosecution, everything is not enough. They want to go into another era of suppression, another weapon of suppression that come into the national security law. The national security about 4 crimes: secession, subversion, collusion with foreign power, and also terrorism. So when you look at the law itself, I give you a very easy example of how my guess, my imagination is in my head. But I think this is true. How they draft the law. They draft the law is very easy. The Hong Kong national security law is not a Chinese national security law. Of course, there are elements inside. But how they draft the law, I think, is they look back of all the videos of last year action. And they take, this is not waving a flag. No, I hate this. Going into Lashko, storming into Lashko in July 1st. No, not tolerable. Damaging of the traffic lights. No. And so, talking to congressmen, US Congress, UK parliamentarian, no. So everything, they have a list of things that they don't want to see. And then they draft the law in design of banning all this action. I'll give you an example. When you look at July 1st, suddenly they put out a banner of the police saying that you may be now, after July 1st, of course, is the day when the national security law come in. They said that you may be now in breaching the law on secession, the law crime of secession and subversion, because people wave, some of them wave some flag, and then they hate that. So they use the national security law. When they draft the law, they say by force or not by force. It's crazy. How can you draft a law saying that by force or not by force to call for separatism? Not so, but the international standard is everything, of course, is using the framework of whether you are using violence or force. But no, they are not doing that. By force or not by force. No. And then another example, how subversion, damaging of government facility is subversion. So it's even wider than China itself. You know, when Liu Xiaobo, the Nobel Peace Laureate, they call for democracy, and of course, calling for democracy is subversion in China. But in Hong Kong, they tailor-make subversion into stop, you know, damaging of the government facility. Another example is damaging of transportation facility is terrorism. Come on, you know, just knocking on the traffic light, they will say that, or damaging some of the subway ticket machine, then it's subversion, it's terrorism. Come on, you know, they go it to another level. And then speaking to, you know, collusion. Collusion is calling for sanction. Colluding with foreign power, calling for sanction. And collusion with foreign power to spread hatred. So am I, you know, speaking to you guys, I have to explain that I'm not spreading hatred of the Communist Party regime. I'm just spreading love for the people of Hong Kong. So I'm not spreading hatred. Oh, I'm not spreading hatred. Come on. You know, all this framing of the wording is very much tailor-made to what happened during the protest movement. And then they try to use everything against this, all this action that they don't want to tolerate. That's the first part, the law. The second part is the secret police. So you have a national security supervisory body, a national security agency, and a special police division to implement the law. And the implementing the law, including that the police, in the name of national security, they can confiscate passport, confiscate property, they can interrogate people without a time limit. Now we have a time limit of 48 hours, and then that's it. You have to release someone if you are not going to put them to the court for trial. 48 hours is the limit. But at national security, no limit. They can interrogate you for no matter what time they want. And imagine this is a secret police operation. And with this secret police operation, and there are even more. They said that you can be sent into China for trial and for interrogation. So then the number one enemy will be sent to China. And then the judge, they can handpick the judge. Some judges are not fit to rule a judge to be sitting on national security law offenses. So only handpicked judge can do that. So imagine, you know, in a way, the whole national security law, everything, destroying everything about rule of law in Hong Kong, and they are trying to change the rule of law to rule by law and to rule of fear. And so, and another example of fear is that people now begin self-censorship because they are saying that in the law, they said that they can ask the social media platform to submit information. Though Twitter, Facebook has said that they pause, they only use the word pause for cooperating with the Chinese government. But, you know, so people begin to worry what will happen in the future. So self-censorship, fear is what they really want to instill upon, make people fearful, and then they are trying to threaten the people with national security law. So this is my first part of presentation. The second part I want to explain is what will happen in the future in the union movement and in Hong Kong. Firstly, the national security law is like a guillotine. They have constructed the guillotine and want to chop at the people, at the rights of the people. And after constructing the guillotine, what they will do is a multi-pronged attack on all civil society in Hong Kong, including the trade unions, civil servants, and also the teachers, education, journalists, everything. They will use the national security law and threaten the people with this law, so that the journalists will be afraid of reporting because you are aiding and abetting subversive activities or things like that. For the civil servant, I'll give you a latest example, is that they want the civil servant to swear allegiance, an oath of allegiance to the Hong Kong SAR government. When they say the Hong Kong SAR government, they also mean the People's Republic of China, the Chinese government. So if you have to swear an oath, it's a threat. What happens if you don't so-called abide with the threat, with the oath? You go out to protest, you go out for rally. In the past, we can do that as civil servant, but then they are threatening you with an oath of allegiance. And for the union, we don't, the CTU and many unions over the past protest movement have pushed for political strike. And we are, of course, Hong Kong do not have the right to strike. This is the problem with the British government, colonial government. We have never enjoyed any rights of collective bargaining or right to political strike or right to strike even. Just right to strike we don't even have. And so you have the right to strike. The employer have the right to dismiss you. And that's it. You strike on your own calculation of the risk of whether you can push it through without the members being retaliated by the employer in dismissal. So we don't have any protection for workers. And then this will be threatening to our future when the businessmen will be forced to pledge allegiance to the Communist Party, and then they will also cooperate with the Communist Party in so-called taming the workers or suppressing the workers. A very good example is Cathay Pacific have a social media policy. The H&M have a social media policy that you should not express something that are political that will embarrass the company. And there are people, cabin crew, pilots that have been dismissed because of their participation in the protest movement last year. So the businessmen will cooperate with the Communist Party in suppressing the workers. The government employee, including civil servant, subcontractor, the hospital authority, the social workers, or the university, they are all paid by the government, and then they will force the pledge of allegiance through anyone that receives government payment as a wages. So that will again be something that they are going to do on the worker side, the union, the civil servant, the teachers, and everything like that. And for us in the CTU, we are of course encouraged by the fact that workers in Hong Kong feel that in the long run, to struggle against authoritarian rule, we need to organize union for political strike and for having a good, very strong base. So there are lots of unions being formed. And of course, we have a challenge for the CTU to work with the new trade union to how to consolidate their power base so that independent democratic union movement can can struggle and fight on under this very suppressive national security law. And so the union definitely had a very important role to play in the future as a civil society base, and we hope that we can strengthen that base. And the fourth point I want to make is the final point is that, firstly, the business is collaborating with the Communist Party. But of course, they will be rewarded by CCP. I don't know how they are going to reward the HSBC. Last time when I spoke to some of the congressmen, I remember, some of the parliamentarian, I remember mentioning about the HSBC problem. They pledge support to the national security law. And of course, they are after profit. And Zoom, for example, I'm a victim of Zoom because I tried to host a June 4th a talk or forum, and then I was penalized by Zoom, and they closed my account, saying that the Chinese government protests against the Zoom and asked them to close my account, and then 2 Chinese dissidents in USA. So 3 of us are being closed account. So business had everything, to do about this. So the whole suppression. They are the collaborator. And also, I want to go back to another point that I have also mentioned about the British UK government is that, this is a Sino-British Joint Declaration in 1984. But no one have mentioned anything about when this is already registered in 1984 with the 85 with the United Nations. What are the UK government going to do about the Sino-British Joint Declaration that are blatantly now being attacked and undermined by the national security law and everything that happened in Hong Kong? So, but there I heard nothing from the UK government about doing anything on this. Although I understand the United Nations is an institution that are really controlled by China. But still, why don't anyone do anything? Even campaign for it, we want to see something done. So that's my final point. And I'm sorry that I run over a bit of my time. But I hope that I can also answer the Q&A. And thank you for all of you for attending. And then let's see what we can do after this forum. Thank you.